Okay, so this is part one of our build for the Maze Runner robot. And it's got 2 wheels, it's got 2 infrared sensors, and it's going to have 3 laser rangefinders. And what I've done here is I have put the edges together as much as possible. And the reason for that is when you cut down the center of one of these edges, you're actually cutting out 2 pieces at the same time. Each cut is worth 2. So that's why these pieces seem to be all bunched up together. So remember from the Lucky Cat, when we go to print it, this is Chrome OS. You may see something a little bit different. And what we're looking for is to scale it to 100%. We want 100%. We do not want to print on both sides. We do want to print at high resolution so it'll look as good as possible. And then we'll print it. And we will print it onto a sticker. Excuse me, kitty. And the sticker looks like this. It's a full-page sticker. You can see it is almost as big as a cat. About half as tall. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the first thing we want to do is we want to grab one of our servos. Where did that servo go? Yeah, I hear you, kitten. There it is. So the first thing we want to do is grab our servo, make sure that it is approximately the same size as what the print says it should be. Now I've made these to be exactly the right size, but if they're not the right size, you probably want to take a pencil and mark it so that these are basically centered. And we want to make sure, at least in this case, that it's called the spline, that little gear that sticks out. We want to make sure that's in the right spot because we're going to be putting some wheels on it. And we want these wheels to stick down, be just in the right spot in terms of how high the our little car is going to be riding. So let's see if I can get that in the right spot. You can see there, it's just a little tiny bit. Approximately the width of one piece of cardboard. Okay, so I've measured this and they appear to be correct. So I will be able to cut those out. Would you like one of these, Henry? Okay, go over there and eat it for me. Thank you. Now, as noted right here, you will see where the corrugated pattern must go. And I've decided to use this piece of cardboard, which has the corrugations running in the wrong way. So if there were corrugations were running that way, I could do that, but it's not. We need it to go up and down like this. So the best way to do that is to cut our pattern in half. So we'll just be cutting it along here. Now, if I did not have a cat here, I would use my utility knife to cut it. But I do have a cat here, so I'm going to use a pair of scissors instead. It'll be much safer for my cat. Oh, now you're going to lay down there? I need different glasses. All right, change out the glasses. Higher magnification. Getting old is difficult. Avoid it if you can. All right, and I'm going to cut it right down the center of that line, hopefully. Missed it by that much. That's okay. You are a pain. You just are. Yep. Okay. So now we can take this. Excuse me, cat. Thank you. Can I move this where you are? All right. And we still want these to go up and down. And the way to do that is to take it, and we're going to pull off a little bit. Actually, we don't need that much. Cut some off. And I want to just have the edge up because this is a larger sticker. If you have a small sticker, you can just pull it off and stick it down. That's a fine thing. But this is somewhat larger. I want to stick it so that it is parallel to the grain. Most of these lines are parallel or perpendicular to the grain. And I'm going to smooth it from the center out towards the edge as I pull the backing off. Okay, there's the first piece. I don't need this much. Well, let me see. I'm going to need to cut a little bit off of it. Cut some off of here. Cut some off of here. And I'd probably just be using the utility knife, but we have a cat on the table, so we're using the scissors. If you're wondering how often I have to work with a cat on the table, most of the time, actually. All right. And there we go. We can toss this. We can toss this. And now we have this. So we're going to cut right along, maybe a little bit because it's we ended up with the black line on this other side as we cut across here. It's fine. And what we're going to want to do is first we're going to cut out the small holes. Now, mostly this is made out of squares. Oh, I don't need to show you that anymore. Mostly this is made out of squares, which is good because squares are easy to cut. So I start with the small things, like these little holes, these holes here for the sensors, another for sensors here, and then I'm going to do servos. Now this little round hole, you can actually square that off. That little hole is there so that you can push the battery pack out of the bottom and take it out if you need to change batteries. That's what that circle is there for. You can square it if you want. We're going to cut out holes for the servos. And generally I will cut this from, like if there's a junction here, like this T right there, I'll cut it starting, before I cut this, I'll cut this one and go out away from it. And then I'll cut across. Okay, so like here I would cut this way, I would cut that way, and then I would cut across. And that seems to work better. Now when you do cut it, make sure there are no cats on the table. Right, kitty? what we'll do is we'll use a metal rule. This is stainless steel. Now this one has cork backing, which means that it does not slip around much, which I really like when I'm cutting. So what I'll do is I'll set this down along a line. I'll use this utility knife, and what I'll do is I'll cut 1, 2, 3. Each time I'm going through a different layer. So the first time is through the first layer, then the corrugations, and then the bottom layer. Take your time when you're cutting them. Don't crush the cardboard. If you go too fast, you will crush the cardboard. So 3 slices with something like sharp, like a utility knife. You can also use an X-Acto knife for this one. Is retractable because I do have the cats and they do hang around a lot. This is really good for cutting circles or these little small shapes, these little small squares. I'll use the X-Acto knife for it. And as I've said before, if you want to use a stropping block to sharpen in between changing the blades, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I am going to cut these out. I'm going to move this cat off the table to do that. So he is going to need to have something like a dinner or something. And then once I've got all these cut out, we'll come back with part 2 and do some actual construction. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time.